Hey guys, hope your day's off to a good start. Um, so step one, if you did not get yesterday's assignment done, which as of right now is an obscene amount of you, like I'm stressing out because I told you yesterday you got to stay with me. So those of you that did not do yesterday's assignment, you need to go do that right now. Like leave this video, go do yesterday's assignment because you cannot do today's assignment until you do yesterday's. Okay, so go get it done. Those of you that did yesterday's assignment, welcome. Let's talk about what we're going to do today. We're going to do a Google form, and then we're going to do a discussion, and then we're going to do the same Google form again. Oh, yeah. So here's what I want you to do before we go any further. I want you to go to Google Classroom. Obviously, you're already there if you found this video. And I want you to pause this video and I want you to do this Google form. Okay. We're calling it an assessment. It's not actually an assessment. I just want to see how you do your first time through. So answer the questions as best you can. Go ahead and submit it and then come back to this video because when you come back to this video, we're going to go over the answers and then you're going to take it again. And that's going to be your second submission is going to be the one that I actually look at. Is I want to see if you were able to correct the ones that needed corrected, if you were able to take what I said and use it to help you work through these questions a little bit better. Okay. So go ahead, take the quiz, do the Google form, and then come back to this video. So I want you to pause right now and go complete the Google form, submit it, and come back. Alrighty. So if you are back, that means that you already did the Google form and you submitted it, and now you're ready to find out how you did. Okie dokie. Okay. So you may want to grab a pencil and paper or just follow along with me, but I'm going to go over each one of these. So, question one was asking about the central idea of paragraph one. So, if you notice, we went ahead and put the important words in orange because when you are trying to answer a question like this, you've got to know what it's asking you. So, this one wants the central idea, which you guys know is the same thing as the main idea or what it's all about. It's just another way of saying that. So, this paragraph one is when Hiram Bingham first discovered Machu Picchu, or you know what I mean. He first discovered the ruins. So, it talks about, everything he had to do to get to this point, talked to a farmer, went on a trail, was glimpsing, saw all these things, and now he was finally face to face with what he had been seeking. So, the correct answer for this one is right here. We'll call that C or 3. Okay. So the reason why is because this paragraph right here demonstrates the difficulty that he had in uncovering the site and then why the discovery was significant. So, I mean, just the words they use, like he pushed aside a tangle of undergrowth for weeks. He scoured the sweltering jungles, talked to a farmer, went on a trail, glimpsed of these. All of these were ghosts and blah, blah, blah. And now, 2,000 feet, he finally saw what he had been seeking. So, it's showing you all of the hard things he had to go through to discover this site. And so, therefore, showing you why it was significant. So, it does not show the skills that he needed. That's what makes that wrong. Okay. There is no historical context. Yes, there's a date, but there's no history up here. It doesn't tell us the history of the area. So, that's why this one is wrong. Um, and this one is wrong because it does talk about the dangerous nature of searching, but it does not talk about why most explorers give up. So there's parts of these others that make it wrong, and that's why this one has to be correct. Okay. Now, question two was asking what this phrase gaped in awe kind of what does it mean or what does it reveal about Bingham in paragraph 3? So he gaped in awe. The correct answer for this is A, or the first one. Okay. So when you look at this word awe, it's short for awesome or awestruck. You're just in awe because something's so amazing. Okay. If you gape, it's like that open mouth shock look, like, wow. Okay. So when he gaped in awe at what he was seeing around him, it suggests that he was astonished by what he saw. Okay. Um, it does not show us the unusual artifacts he found. It does not show us that he is confused. Okay. And it's not showing us that he's exhausted. He is astonished at what he saw in that paragraph. Okay. So gaped in awe would be another way of saying surprised. Wow. He was astonished. All right. Now, number 3 is asking us to figure out another phrase. What does the phrase yielded scores mean as it's used in this sentence? Okay. So you really got to put it in the context of the sentence, because you could look at this and think, okay, yield is like a yield sign. So you kind of have to slow down, and a score is what you score in a game. Okay, but that doesn't make sense in this sentence. It says careful digging around its ruins yielded scores of Inca graves. So slowing down scores does not make sense right here. So what does? Does it mean that the careful digging easily shaped the Inca graves? The careful digging waited nearby the Inca graves? The careful digging explored often the Inca graves, or careful digging produced many Inca graves? See how it becomes much more clear when you put it in the sentence? That's why we know this last one right here is correct. It produced many. So a yield, you have to think of it like crops. Farmers yield crops because they produce them. And in this use of the word, scores means many. Okay. It's like an older term for saying many. You would say, oh, score, we had scores of those, right? But you can tell if you put them in the sentence which one makes sense. Thinking about digging produces graves, right? That's how you decipher that kind of a question. Okay. So that one should be D. Now, this one, select 2 details. Now, you guys know if you ever see boxes, you know the trick of boxes, right? Boxes always mean pick more than one. Always. If you see circles, it means 1. If you see boxes, it means more than 1. So this tells us to pick 2. Now, we're looking for something that supports the idea that his search was a collective effort. Now, collective effort means it takes more than one person. It takes a team, right? We're a collective effort. We ought to all work together. So we need to find details that talk about people working together in this search. So the correct answers, our 2 answers, are 3 and 5. Okay, let's talk about why. Bingham, his 9-year-old native guide, and his military escort swarmed over ruins. So, look, we have 1 person, 2 person, 3 person. That shows a collective effort. Okay. And also here, the present expedition had been funded by his former classmates who wanted to solve a 400-year-old mystery. Again, it was the effort of more than one person. He had to get funding from lots of people. He couldn't afford it on his own. That's why these 2 show a collective effort. None of the rest of these talk about more than one person. This one just talks about how hard it was for him. This one talks about, again, how hard it was for them. And this one talks about Bingham being not the first white man to examine the Inca civilization, but that does not show a collective effort to do something. It's just talking about him. Okay. So that's why it has to be 3 and 5. You've got to watch those details. I'm telling you, They write these questions to trick you, and you've got to play their game, which means you've got to really dissect it and figure out what they're really trying to ask. Okay, this next one is a vocabulary question, and they want to know, what does the word tangible mean? Now, I already knew what tangible meant, so I was able to figure out down here, like, okay, well, I know what tangible means. So I was right. But you always want to check. So I located it in the text. It's right here, tangible. And it says, if we look at the sentence that it's in, let's back up to, oh, it's all the way up here. Okay. Embedded within a dramatic landscape at the meeting point between the Peruvian Andes and the Amazon basin, the historic sanctuary of Machu Picchu is among the greatest artistic, architectural, and land use achievements anywhere, and the most significant tangible legacy of the Inca civilization. So, are we saying that the legacy has long term value? The legacy of the Inca civilization is found with great difficulty. There's physical proof of its existence, or it's demonstrating dramatic beauty. So, Machu Picchu itself, okay, the ruins of Machu Picchu, which of these talk about a tangible legacy of Machu Picchu based on what they saw? Well, the correct answer is C, because the ruins gave them physical proof that it actually existed. There was physical proof, and tangible means able to be touched. So the word tangible, if something's tangible, you can touch it. So that's why this one is correct, physical proof of existence. Um, so the sanctuary of Machu Picchu was the most significant physical proof of existence of the Inca civilization. Okay. So you got to kind of put a lot of pieces and parts together there to try and find the one that makes sense, because all of these are true to the story, but they don't explain tangible. All right. All right. Almost there. So this one, how does paragraph 10, which is right here, contribute to the development of the entire passage? Which means whenever they say contribute to the development, they're basically just asking you, why the heck is this here? Why did the author even put this paragraph in here? It has to be there for a reason, right? It's supposed to teach us something or point us towards something. So, how did this passage or this paragraph, like, what was its purpose? How did it help us? Okay. So, the correct answer for this one is C, right here. So it emphasizes the marvel of Machu Picchu by describing its architecture and location in nature, right? So it's saying it stands above sea level in the middle of a tropical forest in a beautiful setting. It was the most amazing creation of the Inca Empire. Giant walls, terraces, ramps, like they've been cut out of rock in natural setting on the eastern slopes of the Andes and the upper Amazon basin. Okay, so if you look at all of that, you can tell that this has to be the correct one because it describes its architecture and its location in nature. All right. It does not talk about it being difficult to build. Nowhere does it say that. It does not talk about how the Incas had an understanding of wild plants. No. Okay. And it also does not explain that they tried to keep it hidden. That's not what this paragraph is about. This paragraph is just describing its architecture and its location. Okay. All right. This one is a two-parter. So this one was questions 7 and 8, but they go together. So this one was just asking for the central idea of passage 2. And this one was asking which phrase introduces the central idea for passage 2. So this one, the answer is A. Machu Picchu is of cultural importance. That's really what they're trying to get at. That's why they don't want anything to happen to it and they want to preserve it, is because it is culturally important. Okay. It's not because it's ideal for educational opportunities. It's not because it's a mystery, and it's not because it connects different civilizations. That's not correct. It is trying to tell us that Machu Picchu is very important culturally, and so therefore we need to preserve it. So, looking at this, which phrase from this paragraph introduces this central idea that Machu Picchu is of cultural importance? Oh, this is important that these two match because they need to kind of go together. So the correct answer for this is dun, 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 B. Okay. The answer is B. So Machu Picchu is of cultural importance and the great artistic, architectural, and land use achievements anywhere. So they're trying to say, again, cultural importance has to do with all of these things: artistic accomplishments, architectural accomplishments, land accomplishments. That's all part of their cultural importance. Okay. Um, where it's located, not important to this. The fact that it was abandoned, not important to this. And can't see this one, but the fact that it was made known to the outside world is not of cultural importance. So that's why this one can be the only one that matches with that. Okay. Last but not least. So when you have a question like this with all these check boxes, it's supposed to be like a Venn diagram where you can choose just passage one, just passage two, or meaning, or this one, which means that it's true about both of the passages. Okay. So select the boxes to show how passage one, two, or both present the topic of visitors to Machu Picchu. Okay. So the fact that visitors will enjoy the beautiful scenery while at Machu Picchu, did you guess both? Because that is correct. Both of them talk about that. Okay. Now, how about this one? Machu Picchu needs to be carefully protected from visitors. Well, clearly that's passage two. That's what passage two is all about, is keeping it protected. Okay. And then visitors use Machu Picchu as a place for consideration and reflection. You will find that in passage one. Okay. So it should go both, two, and one. And that's it. So I hope that has helped. And really, guys, when you take assessments like this, dissecting the questions and really looking at, okay, what are they asking me to answer? And then going through all of the choices to make sure the other ones are not correct, that you can justify why yours must be correct, is how you get these right. If you rush, if you don't read all of the answers, you're most likely 9 times out of 10, you're going to get it wrong. So it's important to take your time and do it correctly. So now what I would like for you to do is I would like for you to go and complete another Google form now that you know the correct answers, and see now if you can get a better score than you did the first time. Keep in mind your second one is the one that I'm going to be looking at, not your first one. Okay, I'm going to be looking at your second one because that's going to show me how well you paid attention to the video, how well you understood the concepts, and how well you were able to dissect these questions. And that's it for today. All right. So good luck. Go get that done, and then you are done for the day. Thanks for keeping up with me and staying with me. I promise you will thank yourself later. Have a great day.